Okay, we're getting really, really close. I had it put together and I was kind of satisfied with it, but I didn't have enough range of motion in my arms. I would do this, and this was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times as tight. Like I didn't feel like I'd be able to sit and type or anything. Um, so I made a couple more modifications. So you can see I've cut away some of the neck, and I hope I've left enough in place. But also, as you're about to see, I have gotten fairly adept at patching in. Um, patching in pieces where I need them. So I talked to some folks about the tightness I was having, and some people thought that I should add to the back panels, and some people thought that I should, like filling in the arm's eye, and some people thought that I should add to the center back, which also a possibility, and I wasn't sure. But I really did want something that kind of encouraged / enforced this very erect 18th century posture. Like that's one of the things I wanted. Obviously I still have to edit these sleeves just a little bit. Maybe like that. That would be better. Anyway, and so, but I looked up some diagrams of what happens when they make fitted suit jackets and tailcoats for conductors, right? Lots of this. And for dancers, similarly, much this. And then I modified it just a little bit because I didn't need as much as all that. So what I ended up with, I first tried this sleeve and I patched some in, and then it was too much patched in, so I took out a little bit. But this sleeve was also the sleeve where I added extra to the sleeve cap originally, or to the sleeve edge originally. So it was all kind of wonky. So then I took the same shape and I applied it to this sleeve, which was the original sleeve shape that I had worked with. And you can see it fits in really nicely. It's really elegant. There's no easing in arm's eye. I am told that in fact easing sleeves into arm's eyes is a modern thing, and it's not how things should fit. That ideally the arm's eye and the sleeve are the same size, which is a thing that always made sense to me, but I don't know. Who am I? Anyway, so I have this, and then of course there's, to some extent, the location of the shoulder seam is going to depend on, how I seat, how closed the front becomes, right? So I've been playing with that a little bit as well. And this one is a little bit loose the way I pinned it. But I don't want to pull it too tight. I want it to be just right. And so I had no idea how hard it was to pick where buttons went until I did this project. But you can see that I have plenty of range of motion. I have taken a pinch out of the center back as well, and that I'm sure is affecting everything. But I think we're getting really, really close to a final shape. This arm would be better if it were like this arm, but it's not, so we'll just live with that. And this shoulder seam is kind of in a more 20th century location. It's a little off the shoulder, but I'm kind of willing to live with that, partially because this is where the bone is, right? So it should be a little bit higher up even by 20th century standards. But I'm willing to live with that, and part of why I'm willing to live with that is because if I do want to put layers under it, I can't have it perfectly fitted to my t-shirt body and expect it to fit at all with the 18th century stuff under it. So, so yeah, we're super close. I know this seam looks like it's off, but it's actually on. It's just that the extra is turned in opposite directions on the sleeve and the body. So I think the right side, as I'm wearing it, right side out, the right side of this garment is going to be the model side. Everything seems to basically fit, which, it looks like a fairly unfitted garment. You would think that it wouldn't be that hard to fit, but as it turns out. So the next round, my friend Sandra gave me some old IKEA curtains. So I think that's the next step, is to try this in a fabric that's got some heft to it. Because right now, every time I move, whatever wrinkles just stays wrinkled. It doesn't fall back down. And originally, of course, these garments would have been heavily quilted, so it would have been this as maybe a lining, this kind of fabric, a linen probably, but this kind of weight of fabric as a lining, and then a thick layer of batting to make it warm, like quilt. And then on the outside, whatever decorative fabric, either a brocade or anything fancy really, as that last outer layer. I don't need the quilted layer, certainly not in my first couple of attempts. So I think what I'm going to do is try to make an unlined version with the curtains I have. If there's enough fabric, I need to bring them in from the car and wash them and see. And then if that doesn't work with those, then you might see a new pair of breeches show up sooner rather than later. And then finally, I'll do a lined version with a fancier fabric that I don't have yet, so I don't know what it's going to look like. But that's kind of the plan. But I think that this right side is ready to have a pattern taken from it, except for possibly the neck. I'm not sure about the neck. I cut a neckline to match. I cut a neckline that matches the waistcoat neckline. Maybe I've just let it fall down too far. And it feels like maybe this is slightly too little fabric now. Like I might need to add a seam allowance so that I could actually add a standing collar right there. And then if I shift it forward like I just did, again, we're going for, what should the fit of the garment be? Something like this. Anyway, I think that subsequent fit details have to be done on the actual thing. So that's going to involve modifying the original sleeve pattern to include this little bit of extra fabric. It's a tiny little wedge, but it makes a huge difference in terms of my ability to move my arms. The larger wedge was too much fabric. It was kind of very wrinkly back there instead of just slightly wrinkly back there when I put my arm down. And I don't think it needs to be in the back panel. I think essentially adding a false gusset by adding onto the sleeve cap on the underside has been very effective. So when you're doing, the way that works is when you're doing the sleeve cap and it's got that curve on the underside where it kind of scoops down, you take out some of that scoop. You bridge that scooped out area with a more or less straight line. The JP Ryan pattern has a sleeve that's more or less that shape already. Again, this sleeve pattern that I started with was taken from a pattern that isn't public yet, that I'm a test sewist for. And I just modded the pattern I was already working with. So hopefully if I put a collar on this and button the collar, maybe the collar will stay, maybe the neckline will stay in place enough to really show the fit. But I'm pretty happy with this. Anyway, all that rambling to say, we have sleeves, which means we basically have the pattern we need except the neckline, and like I just said, I'll be figuring that out. Probably not until the next round because the muslin just isn't stiff enough without interfacing. So thank you for following along, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.